Tansi, hello and bonjour. Welcome to the second part of the hoop dance. And I guess this would be hoop 2. And what my book is based off of is based off of not only my hoops, but also the moon cycle, because the two are kind of married together. As I don't know if I mentioned it in the previous video about the one hoop, but my whole hoop dance routine is connected to the moon cycle. Now, I'm not a moon expert or some kind of scientist or anything like that. All I know is my culture, and my culture is connected to a lot of things. So in this era of reconciliation, a lot of what we're doing as Indigenous peoples moving forward is relearning these lessons and reconnecting with our ancestral knowledge in a big way. So by no means am I a moon expert or anything like that. It's just that the way I was taught and what I learned in my journey is basically shaped my hoop dancing to what it is today. And I continue to grow and evolve and connect in different ways with not only my hoop dancing, but on my life and a lot of other things. So I just wanted to share that as part of this lesson. And every single hoop represents for a different moon. It represents for a different time in life. It represents for a different type of life. It just goes on and on and on. I can sit here and riff all day and tell you about the many different multiple connections that we have throughout nature. That's why I felt it was important to do this video out here on the land and nature, where the land meets the water and the land meets the sky. And we have nature all around. I have these little ducks just parading around me, and it's beautiful. And you know, that's how beautiful nature is that, you know, it all exists and it's all around us, and we're all connected to it one way or another, however we'd like to realize that. I just wanted to share that valuable lesson. So anyways, getting into two hoops. As I explained earlier, the hoops are made to fit me. So these are my hoops, and they're about 26 inches in diameter. So when I get into the two hoop stuff, then you start to see more formations and more techniques. But two hoops is there's a lot to it. You're showing and demonstrating your skill. You can do a variety of different moves, a couple of different hoop movements that represent for different things. Like, for example, the winged creatures that we have. So this simple movement here, I'm using two hoops and hinging them together. You know, a lot of hoop dancers do different moves with just two hoops to show our techniques. So one of the techniques that I forgot to show you earlier, or I'm going to show you right now, is how to make the hoop come back to you. A lot of students always ask me, or in my presentations, a lot of the kids always ask me, how do you make the hoop come back to you? Well, it's a spinning technique. It's where when you throw the hoop, you pull on the hoop and it comes back to you. You put a spin on it. So as I throw the hoop, I'm pulling the hoop. So I throw it out, pull it, then it comes back, right? So I could do this on both sides, right? Pull the hoop, make it come back, right? So throw the hoop, make it come back, right? So there's just a spinning technique. So watch really close. When I throw it, I spin it, right? So I throw it, and I spin it, and it comes back. That's how I make the hoop come back to me. I make the hoop, when I throw it out, it's already doing this spin, this back spin like this, as I do that, okay? So that's what I'm doing. Throw the hoop out, spin it. All right, so now we're gonna get into some different techniques with the hoops. So as I showed you in the previous lesson, we do these figure eights, this infinity symbol. And I always try to keep my feet moving. Even when I'm practicing, I'm keeping my own beat and my own rhythm in my own head, because that's the hoop dance, right? You can't have just the hoop with no dance. You have to dance, right? Even if it's just moving your feet quietly to the beat like that, that still counts, because that's more old style. I remember when I started, a lot of the hoop dancers, they weren't too flashy or anything like that. They would just simply keep the beat, and they would do their hoop tricks. They would just do all kinds of cool tricks. and get into the hoops and get into those different techniques, right? With the hoops as you move forward. You know, you could tell a story with the hoops. That's what the hoop dance is really all about. It's a storytelling dance. You're expressing yourself in many different ways. So whatever your story may be, you know, like this is my story of me taking cover and shielding from my enemies, hiding from a predator or something like that, or just camouflaging myself while I'm hunting, protecting myself, right? So there's a lot of different interpretations you can go into with the hoop dancing. Now, a lot of the other movements that we do as hoop dancers, a lot of it's just techniques to show your finesse, to show your ability to move with the hoops, to dance with the hoops, to connect with the hoops, and show your fluidity with the hoops as you dance. So here's some of that fluidity right now. I'm gonna give you a quick demonstration. So remember earlier, if you watched the previous lesson, spinning is a major part of the hoop dancing, because as soon as you start dancing, then these hoops start spinning. So I'm gonna do it on both sides. As I mentioned earlier in the earlier lesson, is that when you hoop dance, you have to be able to do things on both sides. And there's a big reason for that, because you have to be able to spin your hoops on both sides and do it with ease and grace and beauty. So there you go. So I've just demonstrated some advanced techniques there. Here's a simple technique. And when you spin your hoops, you always got to have them on your hands, because your hands control the momentum and the movement of the hoops. So here we go. Spin those hoops. And then we're gonna do some figure eights, but we're gonna do double figure eights. So there's two ways of doing it. You can do you can just do simply just one hand over the other like that. But I like to balance things out. So what I'll do is I'll do like this, then I'll do like this. So I'll do both ways. So I'll go right over left and left over right. Left over right, right over left. And then you can go into a spin, okay? So one of the cool things that you can do out of this move is there's a variety of different things. Notice my feet are moving. I'm dancing to my own beat. So what I can do from here is this is where that thumb technique comes into play. So I'm gonna get this hoop overhand. See, I use my thumb to catch it like that. So this hoop's still spinning. And then I'm gonna use my thumb to catch it. There we go. And then now I'm gonna throw this hoop. And then as it comes back, I'm gonna catch it by placing this hoop in front of it. Like that. And there, I got the hoop in my leg like this. So there's a couple of different moves you can do with this one. So this elder, Kenny Roan, he taught me this move one time. I never even thought of it. I thought of every single move that I could possibly do. But I was like, whoa, this guy humbled me. Just showed me, this old timer just showed me a brand new move. So here's the move. It's where you kick and flip this hoop over, and then you step out of it, and then all of a sudden you're in this formation like this. So this formation can be interpreted to a lot of different things. You can call it a duck. You can call it whatever you want. You can call it you're riding the rainbow. You're a horse. You're trotting on a horse. You know, there's a couple of different moves. I don't have names for every single move that I do. That's up to you to decide as the audience. I always tell the audience, whatever you see, that's what the hoop dance is about. So I have some moves that I've locked in that I know exactly what they are. Some of them I don't even know. I don't even give them names. I just do it. You know, it's just part of the dance. I just go with the fluidity, you know, and go with the dance, and then it basically names itself. It becomes its own entity. And then that's the part of discovery within the hoop dance that we're constantly learning as hoop dancers. Now, some would interpret this move right here as like a peacock. You know how a peacock puts its feathers out like that? There's a couple of different interpretations of that move. And so with two hoops, there isn't really a lot of formations you can do other than the winged formation that I showed you, and then also doing this formation in your legs, and then just showing your ability to go through the hoops, right? Back and forth, and then going from one hoop to the next. And then, so this is where, if you studied the earlier lesson when I showed you guys how to rotate the hoop around your body, remember when you go forward, your knuckles are up together. When you go backwards, your knuckles have to be in alignment like that as well. So forward, backwards. And it's hard to do when you're just standing there. It's hard to do this because you don't have momentum. Momentum is our best friend when it comes to hoop dancing. Because look at, this is not, because we're not using momentum, this hasn't fanned out. So now that I'm using momentum, the hoop will fan out on its own. So just like that. The hoop is fanning out. And then here's another technique. So this is where you have to be able to spin the hoop like this. So all I'm doing is turn, grab, just like that. All right, and then you can do that both ways. So that's all I'm doing above my head. And then I came out of this move, right? As I was going this way, you can alternate hoops just to show your skill. Because as a hoop dancer, you're basically like a shapeshifter. You're morphing into these different realms, into these different creatures, into these different energies. And that's what the hoop dance is really about, is your ability to move and morph through these different dimensions that make up the hoop dance. Okay, so now we're gonna keep moving on. So here's that trick, moving like this. And now this is where we do the fire spinning technique, and we're gonna do it behind the back like this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and from here you could actually go into another move. So there's a couple of the late great Nakota Lawrence, he took this move. So how this move came to be was it actually came from Sage Romero. When I was in Spain, I kind of learned this technique from Sage because we would trade techniques, because that's what us hoop dancers do. So I just figured out how to do it on my own, kind of. And you know, I'm very thankful to have seen and been exposed to these moves, because you know, that's what we do. We inspire and influence each other as hoop dancers, because I don't own these moves. You know, even the moves that I created, I don't own the hoop dance. And that's the thing about our culture as Indigenous people. We don't own these things. These are part of our culture, and what we do is we contribute to it in every way, shape, or form, so the next generation can continue on that momentum and continue on the innovation and evolution of who we are as hoop dancers. All right, so anyways, back to the movement. So back to here, remember we came from here and we're dancing, and then we go from here, and this is where we could separate the hoops and do this figure 8 spin like this, like that, figure 8 spin, right? Then you could even go like this. You could even do this multiple spin and then go back into the figure 8, and then we could go into this spin. And this is one of my favorite moves. This is one of my signature moves. Now it's where I'm gonna turn my body, but this requires the ability to switch directions with your hoops and to switch from spinning forward to spinning backwards now. And the reason for that is that that's the only way I could throw up the hoop. So this is how you throw up the hoop, backwards like that, right? Because I'm spinning backwards and I'm able to throw up the hoop. I wouldn't be able to do that if I was spinning forward, for example. So you can throw up the hoop, but it's a little trickier. You have to like float the hoop, and it's not as fluid, you know, it's kind of tricky to do that. So what I've come up with is the ability to turn like this, and now the hoops are spinning backwards, and then I'm able to throw the hoop up like that, and I'm able to do that on both sides. So here's the trick. So I'm going to explain it, and then I'm going to perform it for you. All right, so the next trick that I'm going to show you is I'm going to throw up the hoop as high as I can get it, and then I'm going to, when the hoop is up in the air, I'm going to turn around like this, change hands, and then wait for the hoop to come down and catch it. It's really fast, so pay attention. So here we go. Oh, I hope my hoop I hope my hoop doesn't go flying in the water. And that's your true test as being a master. And you got to challenge yourself. I used to practice on a rock on a river before to test myself. So if you ever want to challenge yourself, practice by the water, because if your hoop goes in the water, oh man, it's no fun. Especially this water, it looks a little murky. So here we go. Here we go. Here's with the trick. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and up. 2, 3, 4, and catch. 2, 3, 4. Good job. So there you go. There is the trick I wanted to show you, spinning 2 hoops. And that's part of the hoop dance, right? Is the ability to do things on both sides, and you're also multitasking. So there's a lot to it. There's a lot to the hoop dance itself, because you have to be able to just free yourself, free your mind, and be fluid and visualize that thing happening and being able to execute that. All right, so that's the other thing too, is having the ability to visualize what you're going to do before you're going to do it. And that applies to not only hoop dancing, but it applies to a lot of things in life. You know, if you're a golfer, for example, you have to visualize the shot going over there to where you want it to go, and then utilizing your techniques and your swing to get it there. Boom. And you know, most likely you'll hit it, right? Because you practice, right? You put the time into it, and it's technique, practice, and visualization. Okay, so those are the techniques. So the next move I'm going to show you, this is in honor of the late great Nakota Lawrence. So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be spinning these hoops in 2 different directions like that. So one hoop's going this way, one hoop's going that way. So one day I was at the World Championships in Phoenix, and a lot of us hoop dancers, we visit a lot. So I was visiting with my hoop dance family over there. Like we're basically family. You know, anybody that goes down there and does the hoop dancing, we all consider ourselves brothers and sisters and extended family. You know, like we're one big happy family. So anyways, I was hanging out with the late Nakota Lawrence, and in a way I was kind of his mentor. You know, I was probably one of many of his mentors, because he was a smart kid. You know, he really committed himself to the art and beauty and culture of hoop dancing. And he was one of the best hoop dancers that ever stepped foot in the dance area. You know, like he's also a world champion. I believe he was a 3-time world champion as well. Not to mention a teen world champion, a junior world champion. I never even hoop danced that long myself. I only started when I was a teenager, and I never made it down to hoop dancing the championships until I was like 18 years old. Anyways, long story short, I seen Nakota messing around one day, and he already knew that my move of switching them back and forth like this. So one day Nakota's like, oh, I'm gonna try that with 2 hoops, and I'm gonna spin them like this, and I'm gonna try to change hands back and forth. Then he was like doing it, and then he'd like, oh, I was like, that's impossible, bro. I didn't even know if I'd do that. That's kind of risky with dancing and whatever. And Nakota, the late great, that's why he's the great Nakota Lawrence. And you know, rest his soul. You know, he passed away a few years back, and that was devastating. And you know, it's still hard to believe that he's gone, but you know, his family honors his name by, you know, doing stuff like the hoop dance contest, and they actually have a memorial contest in his honor. But anyways, I wanted to share about Nakota and his dedication. When you tell Nakota that he can't do it, he would come around and he would show you that he can do it. He would do the impossible, basically. So that's where this move comes from. And a lot of hoop dancers are actually adapting this move into their repertoire. For the longest time, it was only me and a few others that would do this move. And we would not do this exact move. I would spin 4 of these, and that was my signature move. I would spin 5. I would do one on my ankle, which I'll show you guys in later lessons. So anyways, here is the Nakota Lawrence spinning both directions like that, which that's the first part. Now the next part is the ability to change it to the other hand, and then to change it back and forth. So Nakota was so good at that eventually he did the one where he threw it up like that, and he would actually do a full 360 turn. That hoop would go about 100 feet in the air. And I've been practicing that for the past few years now. I guess I haven't dedicated myself like Nakota did enough to do that, because I don't necessarily want to bite his move or steal his move, because his sister Sonway Lawrence is going to, she's continuing on that legacy in his students. So I don't want to disrespect them by taking away their move. You know, even though we, like I said before, we don't own these moves. I just wanted to share that with you, that if you ever learn that move, think of late Nakota Lawrence and his family. And it's about honoring them and respecting them in a great way. So I just wanted to share that about hoop dancing. Now, some of the signature moves that I can show you is, here's another quick move before I call it quits for this lesson for today. So one of the moves that I do, this is one of my moves, so I can teach this one. So again, I'll show you one more time. Here's the Nakota Lawrence move, where you spin it, and then you switch hands. And then you can switch hands again, and then you can switch hands again. So there you go. That's something to practice for all you aspiring hoop dancers out there. All right, so there you go. So here's one of my moves just to finish off the lesson today. So when I'm dancing, if you ever watch some of my performances, you'll see that I do a move like this, where I'm spinning the hoop, I throw the hoop out, and then as it comes back, I catch the hoop like this, and then I lock it in like this. So this is a lock. And then all I do from here is I reach down to this one that's interlocked, and then I pull it up really quick. So watch this really quick. And there, I make myself a move out of it. And you can do a variety of different things. You can make yourself a totem pole like this. You can be a totem pole, right? Even though that's not really my cultural background, the Cree, Nakota Sioux, Métis, we don't have totem poles, so I don't even go there. I'm a tree, you know? I'm a tree, there we go. I'm part of the earth. And then often at times I'll use this as my, back in the day, our ancestors used to wear wolves, and some dancers will still use a wolf. So I put this over my head like I'm a hunter, and I have the wolf, and I'm disguising myself to go and hunt. And then part of my story is I flip this around, and then I make this into a bow and arrow. Then I have another hoop right here, which I'll show you in the next lessons to come. So I just wanted to show you those basic lessons about hoop dancing. And remember, this is only scratching the surface of hoop dancing, because it's taken me over 30 years to learn these techniques. So I'm not even showing you guys everything. I'm just showing you the basics and some of the featured moves that we do as hoop dancers. So there you go. There's hoop 2. There's for the moon cycle, the second part of the moon cycle, in which when you study my book, you'll notice that each chapter there's a Cree name for every single moon cycle, and each Cree name means something different in our culture. It means a different time of the year. So this month right now, this full moon that we're in, we're in the harvest season. This is the beginning of the rut for some of the animals, like the moose, the deer, the elk. They're all starting to rut, and what that is like their mating season. They're getting ready to compete for mating and stuff like that. So anyways, there's a lot of different things going on in the world, and I just thought I would share that from an Indigenous perspective. So there's your 2 hoop lesson for the day, and thank you very much. Again, my name is Dallas Arcand. I'm a 3-time world champion hoop dancer from Alexander First Nation, and it's been a great honor and a privilege to share with you. Hai hai kinanaskumpten kakio. Thank you very much.